Right, this is something that's happened within the last hour, and we're going to be talking about how this man's been arrested after a child and a woman have been stabbed in Leicester Square. Okay? And I want to apologise for the rough cut and editing of this. I wanted to get it out as quickly as possible because I want to show you how the media reports on things and how they have learnt nothing from the riots that have just happened in the United Kingdom. Because of a vacuum of information, and nature abhors a vacuum, people filled it so that, there was a lot of misinformation and disinformation going around about who the attacker was and why they did it, etc. And if the media keeps doing this, it's going to happen again. So I've pulled up some examples of different news sources, international ones, national ones, national papers, local papers, just to show you how different places report on it. And only 2 have reported on what the attacker looked like, which, as you can imagine, because of the recent riots, that is very bloody important. Okay, so first of all, I want to show you the most inflammatory one, which I don't think should surprise you, comes from America. But NBC News: man arrested after a child and adult are stabbed in a busy London square. And you scroll down, it says hardly anything about the actual incident. The 2 victims were taken to a major trauma centre. They were taken to hospital, and the extent of their injuries is not immediately clear. And it's really bad what's happened. But then it just goes on to say half of the article is about the riots that we've just had. The stabbing occurred as Britain is on edge after violence for the past week as crowds spouting anti-immigrant and Islamophobic slogans clashed with police. Nothing about the attacker, nothing about who stopped him. And this is really important, and I'm going to show you. Again, the shop in a local newspaper, Harwich and Manningtree Standard, just selected it at random. They don't say anything here. They mentioned the guy who saved him, Abdullah, aged 29. He was a security guard at the local shop, and he ran out, and there's a man in his roughly in the mid-30s or early 30s, and he stopped him from stabbing the young girl. And then they give information about the girl and the woman, but they don't say anything about the guy. They mention that he's what age he is, but it doesn't mention his colour or anything. They just say it was no suggestion the incident was terror related, but that means nothing in this day and age, does it? And then you've got the BBC, who, they claim to be one of the best sources of news in our country and unbiased, but again, they don't mention who the attacker was. They mention Abdullah, how he says it was his duty to save them. I'm wondering what the so-called patriots are going to think of that, by the way. I wonder if they're going to say anything. But then this is important as well, because they talk about Desmond, 45, who performs as Darth Vader on the square every day. So they're talking about his eyewitness statement, okay? And he gives a really horrifying explanation about what happened, but they don't say anything about the attacker. And again, that is important. They just leave it there. So again, another vacuum. Go to another international source, Al Jazeera. They talk about the woman and the young girl. They mention the violence. If you notice, the British papers haven't mentioned the violence, but the international papers have. They mention Abdullah. It's not immediately clear whether the latest stabbing had any link to the unrest. No, it is very clear. It is very clear that it didn't. Okay, so this is where all of this is really important. On the live feed from The Independent, the street performer, if you remember Darth Vader, Desmond, he describes, he looked to his side and he saw a young man was stabbing the child several times with a knife. I couldn't imagine experiencing that, and I couldn't imagine seeing it. It's awful. Before he could jump down to go over there, 2 guys were just passing and they grab him. They put him on the ground. Immediately the police came. But as you can see, the first bit here, he said the suspect in the attack in Leicester Square was a young, white, skinny male wearing a black t-shirt and jeans. That's the only reference that The Independent have given. I believe in their main article that they released, they don't actually mention that again. And then the other source is Sky News, and they also mentioned Darth Vader. And how the skinny man was a young white skinny male dressed in a black t-shirt and jeans. So out of all of that selection, only 1/3 of them mentioned the eyewitness statement. If I found that eyewitness statement within 5 minutes of looking, I'm pretty sure all of these international newspapers can bloody do that as well. This is irresponsible journalism. This is why you need to be so careful about what you read and think, what aren't these people telling me? Where are the gaps in the information? Is there anywhere that I can find that information for myself? And corroborate it between different sources. And I'll show you as well some, again, I wanted to show you an example of why this is so bad. So this is a short from LBC News, Leading Britain's Conversation. And they cater to like all aspects of the political spectrum. They have hosts from everywhere on there. But this is one of the most irresponsible pieces of journalistic reporting I've ever seen, bearing in mind that YouTube short can be up to 60 seconds long. Watch this bollocks.
A 34-year-old woman and an 11-year-old girl have been stabbed right here in the heart of central London. It happened right outside the entrance of the Lego store on Leicester Square at the busiest time of year for this tourist hotspot. Police say a man has been arrested and is in custody, and in the cordon all we can see is a single hat sitting upside down. Police say they're waiting for an update on the conditions of the victims.
What did he tell us there? He just said that like, we know he's on the scene, he can talk to Darth Vader. And he's instead talking about a single hat lying on the ground. No, you can get that information. That is your job as the journalist, so that these riots don't happen again. And I can tell you, I bet right now there's stuff kicking off. I've seen things in the comments like saying, well, Abdullah might have saved them, but then who did the stabbing? So already it's starting and already it's gaining traction. Be careful what you read. And please like and subscribe, share my video as wide as you can, because I do think this is really important. Obviously, I would like the views, but when you have such an emotive, strong topic where a woman and a child have been attacked, it's some of the worst things that you can imagine. It's one of the worst things to happen in a society. And when the media are behaving in such an irresponsible way, and we feel powerless to stop it happening. And my channel is about fact-checking, and it's about trying to help people find the right information, how to understand the value of different sources and where to go to get different bits of information, so that we can hopefully in the future stop things like this happening, and hopefully this won't lead to more violence now. Anyway, thanks for watching.